Hello, everyone. What a beautiful crowd, I have to say. It's amazing how well everyone has cleaned up tonight. It's great to see you out. Welcome to the 10th Annual Food History Gala in this most amazing of places, the National Museum of American History. My name is Sally Swift. I am the co-founder and producer of the Splendid Table radio show and podcast. Thank you. Thank you. And it is my delight and honor to be here as MC for what I think of as Alice's party. And that is the theme for tonight. We are going to have a wonderful night, beautiful food, beautiful drink. I want you to notice the art on everyone's table. We all know that Jacques Pepin is an artist in the kitchen. Well, it turns out the guy can paint. He's also an artist with watercolor. As you'll see from the menu card, we have a beautiful meal in front coming up for us. Beautiful wine, beautiful beer. I hope everyone enjoys it immensely. My job tonight is to keep this train moving, and I'm going to get started immediately with that task by introducing our host, Dr. Anthea M. Hartig, the Elizabeth Macmillan Director of the Smithsonian's National Museum of American History.
Well, good evening. Bonsoir. Buenos noches, and welcome to your National Museum of American History. It is truly a pleasure and an honor to look out onto this crowd with a joyful and grateful heart. Welcome to fall in the nation's capital, a beautiful respite from our notorious heat, but the warmth tonight, I think, will radiate through us all. Before we begin, let us pause to gratefully acknowledge the Native peoples on whose unceded ancestral lands we gather today in this layered historic place. In the greater Washington, D.C. area, we acknowledge the Piscataway, the Nacotchtank, and the Powmonkey tribes and their descendants. This is a humble and an incomplete acknowledgement, but it reminds us of the significance of place, of the continued presence and existence and contributions and joys of our Indigenous brothers and sisters, and our commitment to building respectful relationships. I want to extend my warmest welcomes again, especially to our museum board. If you're on our board, do the beauty queen wave. Very nice. Our kitchen cabinet, I know, cutely named, but an amazing group of advisors who have helped the food history program for decades. All of our evening sponsors and all of you for being here. Their names will be visible on the screen throughout the evening, but I would like to give a special acknowledgement to our wonderful board chairman and his wife, the doctors Enrique and Alejandra Segura and their lovely family. To Don Cormargan and Louise Werner, where did you guys go? And to our dear friends, supporters, and partners, the Julia Child Foundation for Gastronomy and the Culinary Arts. Thank you so much. Wouldn't do it without you. It's a lovely honor to acknowledge the United States Attorney General, the Honorable Merrick Garland, joined by his wonderful and lovely wife, Lynn, her mother, Liz, and my mother here. We just discovered they were born a month apart in 1933. So if you see two adorable 91-year-olds, I'm guessing, like Lynn, it was our mothers who gave us our first copy of Mastering the Art of French Cooking, and we still use it today. I'm joined by my predecessor here who did so much for the museum, none other than Mr. John Gray, visiting us from Santa Fe, New Mexico. And I am thrilled to be celebrating the 10th year of the Julia Child Award with our partners at the Julia Child Foundation. Tonight, we are here with all of the past recipients of the award. So please stand as you hear your name and you bask in the amazing applause you shall receive. In order, Jacques Pepin. Rick Bayless. Danny Meyer. Mary Sue Milliken. Susan Feniger. Jose Andres. Danielle Nierenberg. How are you, Danny? Tony Tipton Martin. Grace Young. And last year's recipient, Sean Sherman. Thank each and every one of you for your continued interest in and support of our Food History Project. Your tremendous generosity, especially over these past 12 months in events organized around the country by our wonderful partners at the Julia Child Foundation, has meant so much to the project. And for those of you who will be sharing your wisdom and talents with the public tomorrow on our 2 days worth of Food History Weekend programming, we're extremely grateful and deeply honored. As you know, an event like this takes the proverbial village. The Smithsonian Food History Project projects and offers a unique lens to explore the complicated and beautiful and powerful history of the United States. It's one of our most accessible and beloved programs, now almost 3 decades strong. I want to take a moment, and if you have a glass in front of you of whichever beverage you would like, to toast to one whom we lost this year, Warren Renarski, founder of Stag Leaps Winery, philosopher, philanthropist, dear friend, and supporter of the museum. So here's to you, Warren. I know that you are here in spirit. Here, here. Keep those, I'll have a sip, because it would be bad luck if I didn't let you sip. Keep those glasses high and join me to acknowledge the museum's food history team, a team who's put so much passion into their work throughout the years. Many of them are here tonight, and if you could raise your hand or stand, do a jig, you know who you are, and especially Paula Johnson. Paula, could you stand up for me? This year, we're celebrating the publication of Julia Child's Kitchen, the design, tools, stories, and legacy of an iconic space. Curator, of course, Paula Johnson. Jacques Pepin wrote the foreword. Jackie Nash did the amazing photography. It's been out for 9 days, and we think it's going to sell through its first printing. So you'll receive a special code to order a copy at our special gala rate later. I want to extend my deep appreciation as we think about together everyone whose hands planted, nurtured, harvested, prepared, and everyone who's serving us tonight the amazing food and drink we'll be eating. And a round of applause for them, and as well as everyone who's keeping us safe tonight. And tonight, we are so very honored to celebrate the 2024 award recipient, our dear friend from Berkeley, California, Alice Waters. We'll be hearing about Alice's many accomplishments, her impact and ongoing efforts to influence how we grow, eat, and understand food in the United States and around the globe. From her iconic Berkeley restaurant, Chez Panisse, to her work in developing and growing the Edible Schoolyard Project, Alice's advocacy and activism on behalf of food, producers, eaters, teachers, so many. Alice has been a voice for them and healthy ways of eating for 6 decades, and she's not done making change in the world. On a personal note, as a third-generation Californian and mother of fourths, Alice has shaped my understanding of food as craft, as food as art, and food as community and family. Together with Julia Child, she has and continues to shape, I think, all of our world and our worldviews. She brings us hope, operationalized for a more sustainable and just future. Throughout the evening, you'll hear a lot about Alice's life and career and commitment. But tonight, we're going to do things a little differently and invite our beloved guest of honor to speak first, to set our proverbial table tonight together. Please join me in welcoming my friend and inspiration, Alice Waters. Oh.
You're going to make me cry. You know, where is Julia to help me out right now? She would be encouraging me in some wonderful way, like she did. But I'm so honored to be standing here with so many people I know and admire around the world. And I love the work of the Smithsonian. And it's made a big difference in how we think about food in this country. And I'm so grateful for this recognition. As many of you know, I went to France as a college student in 1965, and I came back, like many people traveled, completely transformed. Suddenly, I wanted to live like the French, have a glass of wine along the Seine, wander into Notre Dame, go to the daily farmers' markets on the streets, and of course, argue over politics and art, and make out in the parks. And of course, I wanted that taste of the food when I came home. And Julia's Mastering the Art of French Cooking was one of the first cookbooks I read when I returned, and it was already a part of the cultural zeitgeist. And it made French food approachable. But it was more than that. Julia shared her love for French culture. That's what meant the most to me. It really wasn't until Chez Panisse opened that I started to understand her recipes and the beauty of them. They were truly lessons and pointed out, at least to me, that one should adopt the cultural perspective of the dish to cook it well. And Julia came to Chez Panisse with Marion Cunningham and told me after dinner it was like eating in someone's home. And I just thought it was the greatest compliment. And I was so happy to hear that. Julia took me under her wing with Marion Cunningham. And I was young and just was introduced to the most sophisticated restaurateurs and cooks of the time. Cecilia Chang, James Beard, Craig Claiborne, and of course, Jacques Pepin. What I loved most about Julia's TV show was she always set the table, and she sat down at the table with other people. And she understood that the show was more about not just making people feel comfortable in the kitchen. It was about sitting down together, the conversation, savoring what you've cooked, and the importance of gathering. When we filmed an episode many years later in my kitchen in Berkeley, I again felt so taken care of by her, watched over. She didn't talk about how foolishly simple my fennel and olive salad was, for example. She didn't say, "Oh, is that it? Is that what you're doing?" I still remember as I was tossing the salad with my hands that she said something into the camera like, "Well, of course, Alice, you can use spoons and forks to do that, right?" I still eat salad with my hands. At the time, it was really only about seasonal ingredients for me, whereas Julia was interested in the alchemy of cooking, much like Jacques. And even though she knew exactly how to do everything I was doing, she treated my process with respect, like she was a student learning my new techniques. Well, Julia was so delighted and happy for me when I told her I was pregnant. That really touched me. And magically enough, my daughter, Fanny, over here, was born on August the 15th, Julia's birthday. This award does mean a lot to me at this moment in my life. I feel it validates my enduring obsessions with public education, school lunch, and the future of the planet. Because it really is about our organic, regenerative local food in schools that could be a global effort to mitigate climate change. Just imagine that we have a delicious solution to climate change. I call this school-supported agriculture, like community-supported agriculture, which is responsible for the farmers' markets that are happening all over this country. The movement prioritized directly and supported organic, regenerative farmers, ranchers, fishers, and food producers. So this is my mission for the Alice Waters Institute for Regenerative Ag and Edible Education. Julia and I understood what the French philosopher Brillat-Savarin said way back in 1825. The destiny of nations depends on how we nourish ourselves. It was true 200 years ago that he said it, and it's never been truer, more urgent than right now. I have one thing to show you that makes me truly believe that human values can be communicated around the world. I started the Edible Schoolyard Project 30 years ago in one school. And now it is in 6,500 schools. But it's going to take everyone in this room to help. And we have everybody here. So I'm so grateful and thank you so much.
I am busting in to keep us moving on our path. So here we go, we're moving on a new path. Can I say, my husband, who I adore, and he's a really wonderful man, does not eat cooked vegetables. He devoured the carrot salad. And that is a testament to Alice's mantra, eat local and seasonal. It's beautiful, 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 beautiful. We hope you are enjoying the wine and beer pairings tonight. They were designed and donated by wineries and brewers from both California and the Mid-Atlantic. Go Mid-Atlantic, woohoo! And you know, when we were getting ready for this gala, we stumbled on something pretty sweet. Ken Grossman, who is the founder of Sierra Nevada Brewing in Chico, California, told us that his first restaurant account in 1980 was Chez Panisse in Berkeley. Super sweet. Our next speaker, is she here? Our next speaker this evening is someone who knows Alice better than anyone. It's her daughter, Fanny Singer. Fanny is an art historian, the founder of the housewares company Permanent Collection. She's the author of Always Home, A Daughter's Recipes and Stories, published in 2020, and a book with her mom, My Pantry, published in 2015. Please welcome Fanny Singer.
Should I just read my mom's speech again? On occasion, I have been charged with introducing my mother in a professional context. I have learned the names of her various accolades by heart, almost too many to enumerate without blushing, and become fluent in the workings of the organizations she has helmed for the better part of the last half-century. It's not that these achievements aren't worth repeating whenever the opportunity arises. It's an impressive portfolio by any measure. But I'm happy that tonight I was asked to speak more intimately about my relationship to my mother and to her lifetime of activism, philanthropy, and general trailblazing. I'm happy in part because I've thought more about my relationship to my mother these last few years than I ever had before. And that's really saying something because I published a book entirely devoted to her in 2020. But my daughter's arrival 2 years ago and the attendant demands and challenges and extraordinary rewards of motherhood have shone brilliant light into every corner of my mother's relationship to me, but also of her relationship to her work. Only through the experience of motherhood have I been able to understand all of what she did for me and what she sacrificed for me but also what she didn't sacrifice and what she refused to give up. About 6 months after my daughter was born, I remember calling my mom and saying, "But is this what you felt? Is it possible that you loved me this much?" And of course, I knew that the answer was and remained an emphatic yes. How else could you explain the fanatical devotion to the preparation of my school lunches? Or to the constant refreshing of the bouquet of garden flowers at my bedside? Or to the work she has undertaken to safeguard the health of our children and of our planet? As I pick roses in my own garden for my daughter every few days so that she can smell and admire them, I think of my mother always working to bring more beauty and more pleasure into my life, always looking to activate my senses in that most Maria Montessori of ways. Which brings us to what I believe is perhaps my mother's most salient message, that beauty is a language of care. When musing on my mom's particular contributions to civic life in Berkeley, a longtime supporter of the Edible Schoolyard Project suggested to me that, above all, my mother should be credited for emphasizing the importance of beauty in our lives. In our fast-paced, tech-driven, commodity-focused culture, beauty is generally considered to be superfluous, a matter of merely cosmetic concern. But the way my mom thinks about, and I will say practices beauty, places it at the core of a set of values she's developed into a kind of pedagogy. The first edible schoolyard at Martin Luther King Jr. Middle School in Berkeley was conceived out of beauty, or rather a perceived absence thereof. What was once a desolate stretch of asphalt on the school grounds was replaced with a nutrient-rich cover crop, and soon thereafter, the very magical garden that is the Edible Schoolyard began to take shape, with its stewardship by students having been woven into the school's curriculum. At the far end of the garden is a kitchen classroom, a structure that contains a kitchen and dining area in which students are instructed in the basics of making and sharing delicious food. In the early days, because of student overflow, there was a temporary classroom placed on the school grounds in close proximity to the kitchen building. My mom, her tolerance for the industrial taupe of the prefab kitchen building, having worn thin, dipped, I believe, into her personal coffers, to have the structure repainted a shade of aubergine. The crew charged with this task mistook the nearby classroom trailer for a related building and accidentally repainted it as well. The next week, my mom received a handwritten note from all of the sixth graders whose class she had inadvertently beautified, thanking her for making their space feel special, thanking her for showing them care. I find myself very frequently citing this story because it demonstrates to me that those things that I often perceive as my mother's irrational fixations. For example, she has also been known to repaint our recycling bin brown because she finds the underlying powder blue offensive. Nonetheless, translates to a language of care. It is not really about beauty in the end, but about care. If food is plated carefully, it will almost always be beautiful. If a child is surrounded by lush color, by organic growing spaces, by the smell of the earth after rain, or of a crushed leaf of mint in the palm of a hand, that child will feel and register a sense of being cared for. It most certainly was the experience of my childhood. I believe that this too is what accounts for Chez Panisse being every bit as warm and welcoming and delicious as ever, more than 50 years on. You can taste the care that went into your plate. The care not just for the preparation of the ingredients and the melding of flavors that make up your meal, but the care that the farmer took in growing the vegetables, and in turn, the care that is being taken on a very elemental level of the soil that feeds those vegetables. Awakening us as diners, as humans really, to this chain of reciprocities, to this profound and undeniable sense of connection, or series of connections between all living things, is, I would argue, one of my mother's most meaningful achievements. It is also something I have learned, as my mother likes to say, by osmosis, from growing up in an environment in which all of the parts of this chain were given as much love and as much tenderness as I was. It is also why, as I raise a daughter of my own in this crazy century, that I am able to hold on to hope, knowing that there is so much beauty in people, in nature, and at the table yet to show her. Thank you.
It is my pleasure to introduce the man who needs no introduction, at least here in Washington. I'm teasing. Around the world, chef, restaurateur, author, and humanitarian Jose Andres. Jose started by bringing us tapas from Spain, and then he went on to change the way we eat. He opens restaurants that reflect our history of immigration and celebrates the food cultures from around the globe. He also reminds us how to take care of each other through tough times. Hurricanes, wildfires, wars. He works side by side with people in need to cook and feed each other over and over again. Jose's World Central Kitchen is an innovative model that has made a tremendous difference in everyone's life. He's won many awards, but the one I will mention here is that he's the 2019 recipient of the Julia Child Award. And best of all, he's a dear friend and ally of Alice Waters.
Okay. So amazing. Of all the people Alice and the organization could choose to speak, besides Jack Pepin or myself with heavy accents after 2 martinis, is Jack Pepin or myself. So I don't know if my accent is better or not than yours, Jack. But so for the ones of you who are not going to understand anything, we have translators in the back room. And I only want to mention, it kind of touched on her because we had amazing wines tonight. But one of the wines, even from California, is Chimney Rock. And Chimney Rock has been one of the most affected places in North Carolina. So can we give a round of applause of support to all the people who are going through hardships and the people helping. But the speech goes this way. Hello, people of America. And obviously we are here tonight to celebrate not only one amazing woman, but two. And women who have left a huge mark on American food and American culture. And you will agree with me, obviously, the word if after her, the Julia Child, is legend of legends. And a woman who taught me indirectly to speak English, or at least kitchen English, besides Chardonnay, watching her TV programs as an early immigrant boy. And obviously with Alice, they share the same story. I remember Julia coming with Jack to my restaurant, and when I went to the table, I say, how is the meal? And Jack was great, and Julia said, interesting. And I told her, but you ate everything. And she said, I was hungry. That's why we love Julia. And I'm not going to tell you about Alice when, even before I met her, like, Alice is coming to your restaurant, Jaleo. And I'm like, oh man, and I began I'm driving and like, what is on the menu? What vegetables? Where are they from? The asparagus are from Chile. I say, Chile, Virginia? So I cannot believe I'm here. So tonight is very special, Alice, because I am so proud to be here celebrating you and who you are. You are the great Alice Waters, and I'm so proud to call you a friend. And indirectly, before I met you, a mentor, and after I met you, in many ways, my muse. It's great that you are here with your daughter, Fanny, and and obviously all the winners on the last 10 years of this amazing award celebration. So Alice, I don't want to sound like I want a reservation in your restaurant, but you are very important to me. And I think you are very important to all of us. That's why everybody is here. You are my sister, and I think everyone in this room sees you the same way. You are both a friend and a person who changed the way we think about ingredients, about the relationship between cooks and farmers, how we as a society can we be thinking about where our food is coming from. Wow, such a simple but amazing idea. When you hear Alice speak, you lean in. Her voice is soft but profound. And what she's saying is always interesting, no matter what she's talking about. It's always important. And she's always showing you that she understands the present when at the same time she sees the future. You know, with Alice, I learned that soft voices are powerful. But in the case of Alice, there are also thoughtful voices. Alice is someone with such a whispering voice and such a powerful message all at the same time. And you are a food whisperer in the mind of all of us. The moment I realized the power of Alice was over 25 years ago when I went to Chesapeake with my wife, Patricia. We call her Tichi. And she was pregnant with our first daughter. So, a little bit of a picky eater. But a lovely eater. And we're about to be 30 years together, and I love you for that. So, as soon as I came into Chesapeake, I couldn't get a reservation in the main restaurant. I had to go to the other one, which it fit me well. And as I was coming in, I saw a plate leaving the kitchen with 3 dates. You know, a young chef coming from Spain, Michelin stars, like, shit, this is a restaurant that put you 3 dates in a plate and they call it food. I thought, really? But then the meal began, and Alice whispers through all her dishes began speaking inside my head. The meal was amazing, dish after dish. And then when the dessert arrived, it was that plate of 3 dates. Again in my head, are you kidding me? I mean, a chef serving 3 dates on a plate? Yes, it was sarcastic internally at first. Even my wife said, hey, stop it, you fancy chef. But then I tasted the date. The dates were soft to the touch and a deep, subtle but profound aroma. Like you were in an oasis in the middle of the Middle East somewhere. Inside was a texture like gelatin that was about to fall apart. It was too good to be true. My lips, my tongue, my senses were really excited to the stream of finally understanding what true culinary pleasure was like. Those dates were revealing of something bigger than knowing where to buy and from which farmers. For me, those dates were a revelation. Those dates on a plate was something that really began making me think about food in ways I never thought before. In a way, it was tradition, but at the same time was revolutionary, all at the same time. It was a moment that you ask yourself, what is cooking? What is the meaning of cooking? Tell me what you eat, and I will tell you who you are, Riyad Sawaran said. Alice, in a way, was helping me and all of us to understand who we are. Last week, No, I'm not using this as bragging rights, but with her good friend, Jonathan, we made garlic soup together in my home. Sorry you were not invited. And this was a simple soup I learned from my mom with only 4 ingredients: bread, garlic, Spanish paprika, and water. Sometimes if you had the opportunity, you will put an egg. And it was a recipe I was very happy to share with her because, if anything, Alice is the queen of simplicity. A piece of fruit on a plate, which very much I realize is the way I grew up in my home, where my mom and my dad were nurses trying to feed my 3 brothers and I. This was the only gift I could give to this woman who understood early, before anybody else, that the goodness of the earth and the sea is the best gift that Mother Earth is giving to all of us. The intangible tastes and aromas and seasons is all the riches this woman is looking for. And that's what makes you amazing, Alice. And now is the moment for you to clap. But she also showed us that all that is simple is not easy. It's not easy to find the perfect fruit, to develop the relationship with the farmer, to get the product into the restaurant and get it to the customer at the right moment, to give them that moment of revelation. In Alice's hands, simplicity becomes the most sophisticated, elegant dish. She makes people like me, and I believe you agree with me, people like us, think. Every time we serve a plate of food, we are forced to think, not just about where our food is coming from, but about where our food system is going. Alice has always had a magical ability to bring people together. And with that voice of hers, to practice a sort of soft power, not just at her restaurant, but here in Washington as well, and capitals around the world, senators and congresspeople, presidents and first ladies, even the future King of England, forcefully sharing her message about putting local, traditional, and sustainable foods back on our tables and teaching our children about the value of learning where their food comes from, all at the same time. And I actually think Alice is kind of a radical in many ways, especially when she's in the room with powerful people. And believe me, I've been in those rooms. With all her respect to tradition and the old ways, I will say that she's been the avant-garde for a half century, the one that is pushing the boundaries to the rest of us. And for that, we are in eternal gratitude, Alice. I mean, how many chefs today are talking about local and sustainable and the name of the cow who made the butter they're serving? None of us will be here without Alice doing exactly that. And of course, with the edible schoolyard, she's bringing the next generation of school children on this path as well, because children are the future, not only of America, but of the world. And with her more than 6,500 schools, she's been teaching them this deep curiosity about the food they eat, and believing that it's not only that every child should have the right to a plate of food, as she believes, but that food is a part of an ecosystem that makes all of society better. And that's what she believes in, giving the dignity that every farmer, fisherman, or cook deserves in the process to feed every child and elder and person anywhere, protecting our soil and air and waterways at the same time in the process. Man, why you don't run for president? And we have a good person running for president. I'm not getting into politics. I'm not going to mention whom. If Alice is teaching all of us to be asking bigger questions about where our food is coming from, encouraging us to search for the answers that makes us all better cooks and chefs, better culinary leaders, and smarter eaters, to be feeding America and this planet in a better way. That's the Ali's real power. To me, that's your biggest contribution to all of us over these last 50 years, my sister. The future of the nations will depend on how they feed themselves, you just mentioned. And I don't quote French people in the open, but you mentioned it, I'll follow with you. But to do that, we need leaders that speak up about the importance of food in our world and the dignity of the people who grow it and cook it. So Alice, I know, we know, your daughter knows that your legacy will live forever. For me, every time I eat, a date. And for all of us, when we think about the food we have on our plate, we will forever have this beautiful, radical lens on seeing the world in a way through Alice's eyes. Alice in Wonderland of Food will be the name of the movie. Thank you, Alice, for who you are. Thank you for the gift you've been.
I have to say one thing about Jose, because he's willing to risk his life to do the work that he does. And I hope I am ready to risk my life as well. Really, truly, this is the most important moment in the world. And we have an opportunity to do something that is global. And I just know that the love that Jose has for everyone is very contagious. And we just have to believe that we can do this. And it's not just because I grew up in the free speech movement in Berkeley in 1964, but it's because I know that everybody in this room cares, and that we have to do this really together. And Jose, I love you dearly, and I'm so touched.
Okay, are you ready for the party to get started now? All right. Good evening, everybody. I'm Eric Spivey, Chairman of the Julia Child Foundation for Gastronomy and the Culinary Arts. Now, Julia chose that very long name, and we embrace it. It's just a great long name that you have to really take a long time to say. We're now transitioning to the part of the gala where we will present the Julia Child Award. Julie created her foundation in 1995. It became operational upon her death in 2004, and the trustees are so proud we will have made $3.5 million in grants by the end of this calendar year. I want to acknowledge my fellow trustees, Phyla Cousins and Alex Prudhomme. Do the wave, do the wave. The staff of the foundation, Todd Schultgen and Lauren Salked, plus the Julia Child Award Director, Tanya Steele, and the award chair, Jim Dodge. Together, tonight we gather not only to celebrate the incredible achievements of our 2024 recipient, but also to reflect on a decade of culinary excellence and innovation that this award represents. I want to acknowledge with love and admiration the many individuals that have had a role in creating and shaping this award. John Gray, in early 2013, was quick to embrace the idea. I think it wasn't that quick, but I felt like it was pretty quick. To create a unique and distinct award, and that the award ceremony here in this magnificent space could be a meaningful fundraiser for the Food History Project at the museum. So thank you, John. Under Anthea Hardig's amazing leadership, sorry, John, since 2019, and the ever-present Paula Johnson, Carrie Fantasia Van Vuren, and Valeska Hilbig, and so many others I don't have time to call up by name, plus an incredibly supportive board at the museum, Team Julia, as we call them, have been a joy to work with. So thank you, everybody at the museum. I am humbled by the presence of so many culinary luminaries who have been part of this journey, many of who are here this evening. As you know, each of the recipients over the previous 9 years are also here tonight, which is just amazing. And they have set a remarkable standard, inspiring countless people and transforming the culinary landscape. Please join me again in recognizing once again these extraordinary individuals who have graced this stage since 2015. This evening, we honor Alice Waters, a true pioneer and visionary in the world of gastronomy. Alice, your unwavering commitment to sustainable, school-supported agriculture, local sourcing, and the farm-to-table movement has not only redefined how we approach food, but also has profoundly impacted how we think about our connection to the earth and our communities, as you just shared, Alice. Your work at Chez Panisse has been, as Beyond has championed, your work at Chez Panisse and Beyond has championed a new era of culinary consciousness, emphasizing the importance of fresh, organic ingredients in the stories they tell. Your dedication to education through initiatives like the Edible Schoolyard Project and the recently formed Alice Waters Institute has empowered young minds to understand and appreciate the origins of their food. Excitingly, this is where the $50,000 grant we make as part of the award will go to. So by instilling these values in the next generation, you have ensured that your legacy will endure, very much endure, nurturing a future where climate, sustainability, and nourishment go hand in hand and give us all hope. I can't talk like Jose, but you know, I'm doing my best, all right? Just give me a clap here and there. Alice, as we celebrate your achievements, we also acknowledge the collective impact of all our award recipients. Each of them out there, the 11 of us now, in terms of including Alice, each of them have contributed to a richer, more diverse culinary tapestry, honoring Julia Child's spirit of curiosity, excellence, and passion for the culinary arts. This ceremony is not just about celebrating past achievements, but also about looking forward. The proceeds from tonight's event will support the Food History Project. As you saw earlier this evening, Julia's Kitchen has a very visible role in the exhibit, and we're thrilled about that. This initiative will continue to document and explore the profound connections between food, culture, and society, ensuring that future generations understand and appreciate the culinary traditions that shape our world. As we mark this milestone, let us remember Julia Child's enduring words: find something you're passionate about and keep tremendously interested in it. Alice, you have embodied this philosophy with your grace and determination. Your work reminds us that food is much more than sustenance. It's a source of joy, a means of connection, and a catalyst for change. Thank you, Alice, for your extraordinary contributions. Thank you to all our past recipients for your continued inspiration, and thank you to everyone here tonight for your support and dedication to gastronomy and the culinary arts. I forgot my wine glass, doggone it. I'm going to do a toast. Now, we will show a video. First of all, let's raise a glass to Julie. So give me a glass. Jose! Is that all you got? Okay. Let's all raise our glass to Julia Child and to a decade of excellence in this award, but to many more years of celebrating the spirit of Julia Child and new recipients of the Julia Child Award. Hear, hear. That's my first sip of alcohol tonight, Jose. This is great. Bring me more before I'm done, all right? Oh, after party at Jose's. I can feel Julia's presence right now, and I hope many of you can as well. I'm now honored to ask Joan Nathan to the stage. Joan writes about food through the lenses of history, culture, and tradition. Author of 12 cookbooks. Do I have that right? And one pretty recently, correct? In the last 5 months, 6 months? Yes. So author of 12 cookbooks, Joan is an advisor to the museum as a member of the kitchen cabinet, but most importantly for this evening, Joan is a very close friend of Alice. Joan?
Jose. You know, this is not part of my speech, but when Jose was up here, I was thinking about how incredibly giving all these chefs are. And Alice and I, one of the things that we did, which I'll talk about for later, is the Sips and Suppers, which started as Art, Food, Hope. And so many of them were involved in them, in giving to other people. And it just, the other day, Alice and I were just, I know you want less. But anyway, we were driving and somebody had his hand out for something to have a meal, and she gave him $20. And I was reminded of the most giving chef that I ever knew was Jean-Louis Paladin, who did exactly the same thing. He could not stop giving. And that's one of the beautiful things about being in the food world. That is a total aside from what I'm going to say, okay? As a member of this museum's kitchen cabinet, I'm so pleased to present my friend Alice Waters with the Julia Child Award. It's about time. Every year I've been advocating for her. Alice has had a singular vision for our country to become the center for organic, unprocessed food that every single person would have access to. She came of age when students opposed the Vietnam War and fought for civil rights. She continues that fight in the food arena. Almost everything she has done has focused on fresh, organic, delicious foods. She has only one restaurant. She has no branded foods that I know of. Okay, she now has 2 restaurants with the popular Lulu in LA that I love whenever I visit my grandchildren. Her one edible schoolyard in Berkeley, as you've heard, has spawned at least 6,500 gardens all over the US and abroad, as well as countless others influenced by her vision in every single city. Alice does not have an empire, nor does she want one. She's not taken on the celebrated chef attire or attitude. And she still is single-minded, clinging to what farmers, the stewards of this earth, can do for all of us, so aware of this crucial time in the history of our planet. Now she is fully focused on her great act, transforming our public school lunches from processed foods to using regenerative organic ingredients for all of our children. I first met Alice on a trip to the Soviet Union in 1987, organized by a Lithuanian tour guide in Chicago who was so happy that the Confederation was about to fall apart. Life, like the food we were eating and seeing, was dismal almost everywhere. Bread lines at every bakery, butchers without meat, chickens looking rancid. In Vilnius, I don't know if you remember this, Alice, on a visit to the most depressing farmer's market, the oversized root vegetables like potatoes, beets, carrots, and onions were the only things still growing. This was in early October. When Alice saw the drab produce, she fled the market almost sobbing, "I can't stand this." Our friendship was cemented almost 15 years later when I became one of the curators of the Smithsonian Folk Lives Festival's Food Culture USA, with Jose Andres in it, by the way. My first idea was to have the edible schoolyard the centerpiece of the festival, so I flew to Berkeley to speak to Alice. Luckily, she loved the idea, but in a typical Alice way, she was also very exacting. In the late spring, after many months of planning, I visited the mall's edible schoolyard to see vegetables peeking out of the boxes. Glancing excitedly from the garden to the Capitol, the Washington Monument, and the Lincoln Memorial, I called Alice. The two of us were so thrilled until she asked me to take a photo. After she saw the pictures, she said the boxes were too shallow for the roots of the plants to grow into vegetables. The final result would not be her vision. Quickly, she called in her East Coast troops, who brought in a truckload of trees and planted fully grown vegetables brought from greenhouses. The result? School children came from all quarters of the city. Some of them had never seen vegetables growing, as did politicians and agriculture and public policy executives. When she arrived, she was as awed as I was the first time I saw our project in place. Quote, "Seeing that picture of the corn growing on the National Mall made me believe we could change the world," Alice later told me. But the project that made us friends forever was the result of a voicemail I received from Alice 3 years later, just after Obama won the presidency. If she was calling, I knew I was in trouble. Alice always has ideas for good mischief that I can never resist. When I called back, she asked me which 2 food organizations in Washington I was most eager to support. I immediately said Martha's Table and DC Central Kitchen. Yes! See, we were right. Then she said that she wanted me to help her hold 12 dinners the weekend of Obama's inauguration, cooked by famous chefs, Rick Bayless, Floyd Cardozo, with I think Danny Myers was in tow. For the weekend of cooked by famous chefs in homes throughout Washington. She also had Jose, me, and Alice do it. I told her I wasn't a chef, but I did it. Guests would pay $500 each for this honor. She had already chosen the chefs. We enlisted Jose as our third co-chair, and that's how our real friendship with the 3 of us began, and we were off and running. For what became Sips and Suppers, what started as Alice's little idea made over $5.5 million for both organizations over 12 years. And now it is my great honor and pleasure to bestow on Alice, the visionary, the prophet, and my friend, the 2024 Julia Child Award of the city that she has done so much for. Let's give her a huge round of applause for this well-deserved honor.
Is that it?
Now I can speak a fourth time.
I don't think I can. I can. I love copper. I do. I do love copper. I have copper lamps and chez Panisse. I love copper. This is the most meaningful award I've ever received. And I don't know what to say. Jose, come and help me. John.
Why don't we ask all the recipients to come up?
Yes.
All the recipients.
Yes. What a good idea.
Danny, Danielle, Tony, Jose.
Spontaneously, let's have all, well, we can go to Jacques. Doesn't matter. Yeah.
It'd be better.
Okay.
It'd be nice to have them all together, don't you think? Come on, Mary Sue. Susan, come on. Kiss them all. You gotta kiss every one of them. Have you kissed Danny yet? Oh, Danielle and Danny. Have you kissed Danny yet? Kissing. Come in the middle. Yeah, come in the middle. Come in the middle. Wherever the middle is. There.
Yeah. When she said she was waking up in Paris, I don't know what she meant.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mesdames et Messieurs, Jacques Pepin.
The first time I went to chez Panisse was with James Beard and Marianne Cunningham. It was just at the beginning, and 76 or 77, something like that. Yes, I mean, a long time. And I ordered a salad and had out-cooked eggs with it. And that egg was perfect. That is, there is no yellow around the yolk. It was tender, it was soft, it was just the way it should be. And for me, very simple thing like that, I say, wow, there is someone in the kitchen who knows what they are doing, you know. And very simple food like that sometimes decide the quality of a restaurant. And I've always been admiring you and your commitment to quality and to simple food. And the second time, another time I went there with my mother. My mother was at several restaurants in France, and we had a meal. I remember we had a choux à la crème, just a cream puff dough with whipped cream in it, and my mother said, "This is really good." So I knew at that point that I had someone who knew food and understand food and know what the quality of food is, not in fancy stuff, but in really basic stuff. So thank you for teaching me all of those. Thank you.
Okay, now say something.
Say something, a little more something.
What can I say?
I think there are times in life, that all of us know, when words escape us. the beauty of this evening, the award that we've bestowed, the embrace of all of us, both in the bonds of our shared humanity and our shared belief and our understanding that we can individually and collectively change the course of time. Congressman John Lewis said right before he died, never give up. You never know when you may change the course of history. You may make history. So on behalf of all of us at the National Museum of American History, our beautiful friend Alice, the 10th recipient of the Julia Child Award, we are so grateful to all of you. Thank you so much for believing in our work, for believing in the power of food and place, of our shared humanity, and that love and hope will always change the world.
But what's a very quick story I wanted to say. You remember the dates story? You think she's a saint? 25 years later, I'm still waiting for the name and the phone of the farmer that sold her the dates. Yeah.